So I just watched a video by Mark Blitz about the 4 lunar eclipses and 2 solar eclipses that are coming in 2014 and 2015. It's very interesting, and I think it's greatly significant. This is called a tetrad, and it's basically only happened 3 other times. It happened in 1492, 1949, and 50, and I think 1967 and 68. One thing I want to say is that Mark Blitz says that these happen on the Moedim, basically Pesach, Sukkot, 2014, 2015. Then I think there's the solar ones on New Year's Day and maybe Yom Kippur. Watch it and find out for yourself. But the thing I want to say is that it's impossible to know if these, to predict if these are going to come on the Moedim, which they most likely will, and if they occurred in the past on the Moedim, because the way you determine when the first day of the year is you look at the barley and you see if the barley's ripening. It's called abiv. You see, 2 weeks on the 14th day of even of the first month, the month of Abiv, or ripening grain, which is the only month with the name, two weeks later is Passover, and then from Passover you go to the first 7th-day Sabbath, which the day after that is Omer Reshit, the first sheaf. And the priests would go out and they would find the ripe barley and they would get a sheaf and they would wave it before YEHOWAH. It is prophetic of when Yehoshua rose and the other saints, a few in Jerusalem, the tombs were opened at the earthquake, and then they rose when he rose, and we're seen around Jerusalem. This is the first resurrection, and it's just a sheaf. Anyways, you have to have the new moon and the ripening barley. Today, you look on the calendar and it says Rosh Hashanah or something. That is from Hillel II. He was a rabbi when in 70 AD, when the Romans were evicting the Yehudim out of Jerusalem and Israel. He devised the calendar using the equinox. It's 50% right, 50% wrong. So without knowing when the barley was ripe and the moon was new, it's impossible to know when the beginning of the year was. But that isn't to diminish how awesome these tetrads are. I mean, it's incredible. I don't care when they occurred. They occur, and before they occur, and this is the only time we could know when they're going to occur ahead of time, there's trouble for Israel, and then great reward. For instance, in 1492, the Spanish ejected the Yehudim from Spain, and the United States was discovered, which has been a refuge for the Yehudim. Right now, there's probably as many or more Yehudim in the United States as there are in Israel. And of course, in 1949 and 48, Israel fought a battle against overwhelming odds and got the land back in 48, and it was just miraculous. And then again in 67, before this other one, other tetrad, it was the same thing. Israel was attacked, or I think, well, anyway, Israel was in a war, defeated her enemies, regained Jerusalem. It was a great victory. And I think that these tetrads are harbingers of what's coming in this year. This is the beginning of June. And I think it's going to happen in this year that we're going to see the fulfillment of Isaiah 17, chapter 1. Read that whole chapter, and Ezekiel 38 and 39. 4/5 of the invading army, which is going to be massive, is going to be destroyed. And YEHOWAH says that he's going to bring 1/3 of Israel through the fire. That means 2/3 of secular Israel is going to be destroyed. I also think that they're going to rebuild the temple, and that this will be the end of the time of the Gentiles. Also soon, we're going to see the fulfillment of Revelation 18, the destruction of Babylon, the great whore.